Okay, abusua bɛ mma kɔ aba sonko so ɛde POG Media so. Abusua yɛn bonwura ɛyɛ yɛn nsɛm mu. Ɛyɛ suspended Chief Justice Sisi adeɛ. Maame no ɛɛpa akyɛw a ɔsrɛ President Mahama ne committee members ne sɛ ɔsrɛ ɔmo lifte ɛyɛ ne suspension no na ɔmfa so ɛn resign a abusua ɛnyɛ asɛm ketewa akora nti no sɛ ɔmo tumi lifte ne suspension na resign a afei ɛyɛ ne pension anaasɛ ne sika bi a ɛyɛ sɛ ɛbɛ biara no ɛbɛyɛ den ɛbɛba na sɛ ɔmo alifte ne suspension no na kyerɛ sɛ ɔmo fa so ɛyi ne free hɔ koraa anaasɛ ɔmo sake no a abusua ɛyɛ ne suspension ne sika bi anaasɛ ne salary ne nyinaa no ɛmba ɛno ɛna ɛkyerɛ sɛ lawyer Martin Pebu ɛde ho nsɛm aba abɛto gya mama yɛnkɔ na yɛnkɔ nkotie nsɛm a ɛkɔɔ so mɛdɛm ase.
And that's the National President of the Ghana Bar Association there. Martin Pebu is private legal practitioner. Thankfully, he's joining us on Zoom right now. Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us. First off, that's the position, in fact, the proposal by the Ghana Bar Association that in their word, that the words of the National President, there should be a reconsideration or the decision to suspend the Chief Justice should be reviewed, stressing that it sets a poor precedent, essentially. Is it one that, from where you sit, can be considered in this context as was put earlier today?
Yes. So it's adding on. Yes, it's adding on to the voices that we should, but you see, there's a digression, actually, there are divergence of views. So just reconsider the suspension, meaning the Chief Justice should come and continue. That one, I disagree. If it is lifting the suspension, like Kweku Ansah, former director of the law school, said under Article 146(11), so that the Chief Justice will be allowed to resign, yes. But if GBA is saying lift the suspension so that she would come back and continue as CJ, no, that one I disagree with the GBA. You see, the GBA should not play ostrich. Even the Chief Justice referred to the petition and sought to answer the petition. And you see, as she was answering, you see that there's also the other side. Daniel Ofori and the other people also have the right to respond, but because of the constitutional injunction in Article 146, Clause 8, that the proceedings should be held in camera, which the Supreme Court has interpreted in the Paul Derry case versus Anas, Tiger PI, that's Anas Arimiyao Anas's company, that it includes even the petition, etc. That's keeping all of those in secret. You know, we cannot, that's how come the Daniel Ofori, etc. will not respond, okay? Yes, otherwise, they would have responded. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is that from the Chief Justice's own answer, it tells you that there is a case for proper investigation, because you see, she spent about 47 minutes in the press conference talking about this, and that's even a summary. So the more she talked, then the more it told you that the cases were complex, so they needed proper investigations, as the committee is doing now. So to say that lift the suspension, let Chief Justice Torkonoo return to office, I think the GBA was playing ostrich. GBA was playing ostrich. It's not necessary. See, such populism is not good for our democracy. It's not good. I don't support that one. The one I support is that if the suspension will be lifted and then she would resign. So I'm saying that, notwithstanding that I know 3 of the Supreme Court decisions that say that once the proceedings begin, a person who is responding cannot be allowed to resign. Yes, I'm also saying that at the time the Supreme Court made that rule, they never contemplated that there would be a Chief Justice who would fight back openly like this. Because trust me, the press conference Chief Justice Torkonoo held, it's not the last. She would come again, most likely from a previous conduct, utterances, etc. She will come again. She's likely to come again and come. So, and you see, with the way she's putting out the case in the media, yet the committee cannot respond, it's actually hurting our judiciary and ipso facto our democracy. So why should we continue to sacrifice the democratic gains we've made just to be able to, let's say, go through a full trial? No, sometimes it's better we cut our losses and allow the person to resign. Perhaps it can be a rule that, certain rules can be made. I think the more people join in that, well, notwithstanding 3 Supreme Court decisions about not allowing somebody going through Article 146 proceedings to resign, perhaps it's possible to make an exception so that we can save our democracy. Because right now, I'm not sure anybody is happy with the press conference and the outcomes and the conversation it is generated and so on and so forth.
Right, but Counsel, so earlier when I spoke to the head of public relations for the Ghana Bar Association, Xavier Koji, he indicated, yes, they are not against the process as it's playing out because it is constitutional. In Article 146 to 10, as we're seeing playing out now, leading to the suspension of the Chief Justice.
The petitions with the details, but it's leaked. Most of us have read. Yes, the things that are stated in there are no child's play. So I'm surprised the GBA wants to play to the gallery. Look at what the very things that the Chief Justice, mentioned. The very things that she mentioned and sought to answer. And even by going, wading into other uncharted territories that were not even made part of the petition, where she even said that she's never taken a bribe. And you see, it's created a lot of disquiet among judges, because then you see that others have come to say she's interpreting that some judges are taking bribes, etc. Then you see that it's even further created trouble, where people have then also raised the contract to her daughter. That how did her daughter get a contract to do decor for her office? You see the Pandora's box she's opening, etc. So I think the GBA is not being fair to Ghanaians when they say the suspension creates a dangerous precedent. They should read and see the other extensions, especially when the matter of the daughter's contract is mentioned. You see it, because she brought it in by saying she's never been taking a bribe, etc. Then people are saying, but your daughter's contract, how did she get a contract to do decor in your own office? I mean, how? You see it. And there are more that people have just chosen not to speak about. And so the GBA should spare Ghanaians this play to the gallery. It's not healthy for our democracy. It's not healthy. Let's be very objective. You see, certain parts of the petition that we think we should give her support, you see that I have not been shy to say so openly. For example, I've said that I support that she should be allowed to go in with at least 2 relatives, right, to give her emotional support. Then also the question of the prima facie ruling that she says she hasn't received a copy of. I'm sure something can be done. It should be released to her. So you see that these are things that I think, yes, of course, the Supreme Court has held failure to give a detailed prima facie ruling by itself cannot nullify the case. But because even as far back as over 20 years ago, this same matter came up in the Chachuchikata case, and the Supreme Court said, yes, failure to give prima facie case doesn't nullify the case, but it is desirable. It helps, you see, for transparency. Remember that, transparency, because you remember they tell you that justice not only ought to be done, but ought manifestly to be seen to be done. You see, it has to be clear. The manner in which justice is done has to be very clear to everybody. You see, so you see 2 things I've been able to mention that, yes, if she was given these 2 facilities, the ruling for the prima facie, and also if she was allowed to go in with 2 relations, even it can be friends, 2 persons of her choosing to give her support, it would help, you see, the process. So you see, things like that have been objective. But for the GBA to just say that it will set a dangerous precedent without addressing the matters in the petition that Chief Justice Torkonoo has addressed. I think it's rather, the GBA is rather a dangerous precedent for our democracy, because a GBA that would not do legal analysis but would hang on to playing on to the gallery is not a GBA that is good for our democracy. Rather, such a GBA is a dangerous organization for our democracy.
Well, so you reference the details of the petitions, which you've been consistent that you don't want to go into the details of it. Cabinet J. Japan referenced what he has heard and read, and he says that the issues he's heard and read about the petition, the details of it against the Chief Justice, are minor, and in his view, minor of infractions that should not necessarily warrant the suspension of the Chief Justice as we're having now. I want to take a listen to him, and I'll ask you questions on the basis of that. Take a look.
These are very minor infractions that should not occasion the removal of a person so important in the governance of our country. And you're not careful, it may constitute a certain assault on the judiciary, which we all, a day like this, reminds us of. So it's something that is worrying. I pray and hope that he listens to the appeal made by the Ghana Bar Association, because for me, this should...
So, Martin Bebo, there you have it. Per his own analysis, as Cabinet Japan says, what is heard and read, the gravamen of the issues are minor. That should necessarily lead to a suspension. I mean, how do you then get into? Is there any measurement to, as it were, determine the gravamen of the issues so as to then conclude that it is minor, essentially?
I don't agree at all. So once again, I'll not go into the merits, but because a lot of viewers and listeners have read the petition, so they will know these are very weighty matters, very, very weighty. I mean, I understand that in a democracy, we should have a plurality of voices. Yes, plurality of voices, divergent opinions, etc. But please, those matters that are in the petitions are very serious matters. So we shouldn't, sweep them under the carpet and begin to play politics. It's not good. That's rather not good for our democracy. Let's be, as objective as possible. So you see mine. I've been objective. I've shown you what I think can be done to improve. And I've been consistent from day one. I've been consistent that no, let the relations, two persons come, even if they are not relations and or friends that she chooses. Two, give her the prima facie ruling. It doesn't hurt anything. You see, so I've been objective. But when it comes to the substance of the petitions, for anybody to say these are minor, is that the same Cabinet J. Japan who wants to be a presidential candidate for Ghana?
Yes. That he once contested the flag bearership of the NPP. There hasn't been any clear indication whether he's going to contest again. But yes, he wanted to be flag bearer of the NPP. Council.
J. Japan wants to be president of Ghana with these kind of opinions. Then his presidential bid is dead on arrival because nobody will take him serious if this is how he's going to start his campaign. No one will take him serious. Yeah.
Well, much people appreciate your time on this. I thank you very much. Bill was granted, from what we're learning today, after he made an appearance at the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service headquarters earlier today, where he had been held. Now, the Ghana Police Service confirmed the arrest during a press briefing earlier today, addressed by Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCOP Lydia Donko. She stated that the arrest was carried out after an official complaint was lodged by Gihok Distilleries as a company. They lodged this official complaint that led to the arrest of Maxwell Kofi Juma. Take a look at this.
Mr. Maxwell Kofi Juma was arrested based on a complaint that was or a petition that was submitted to us by the Gihok Distilleries Company Limited. We received a petition to the effect that some vehicles which were the property of that company had been stolen by the said Maxwell Kofi Juma. Warrants for arrest was properly secured, and that was the basis for which he was arrested, and he's in our custody at the CID headquarters and is assisting with investigation. I must mention that as at this afternoon, we have retrieved 3 vehicles. So the said vehicles that were stolen by him have been retrieved. So he's really assisting us with the investigation, and then we will take it up from there.
Also, that's the CID giving updates on the arrest of Maxwell Kofi Juma. What you see behind me, I'm going to put out on the screen right now. These are the state-owned enterprise. Gihok is a state-owned enterprise. Okay, and you recall the president, John Dramani Mahama, had cause to question why the company was making losses because, you know, when Ghanaians are happy, we drink. When we are sad, we drink. And so if there's a company that's in that industry, it certainly would be having questions to answer why it's posting some losses. But according to the state-owned, that's the SIGA, the State Interest Governance Authority, that's the source of this information you're seeing there. These companies posted profit between 2019 and 2023. Buipa Authority, ESLA PLC, Ghana National Gas Company, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, the State Housing Company, TDC, Tema Development Company, they all posted profit within this period. And the figures you see there, 197.6 million within 2019, Buipa Authority posted this profit. And then also we saw Ghana Gas, and it follows in that order. But you don't see Gihok. And I'm going to show you the fortunes of Gihok. At least from what we got to know between 2022 and 2023, this is the loss. They actually posted a loss of 25.1 million cedis in 2022. And then also that loss increased to 25.5 million cedis in 2023. So this is not a company that is doing too well. Okay, yeah, and that's why questions have been raised as to how, all of these decisions taken by the former CEO, Martin. Let's go on to Zoom right now. Adam Senano is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Mr. Senano, appreciate your time. This is a matter you've been following quite closely because this news of Maxwell Kofi Juma, the former CEO, taking vehicles, had been in the news for quite a while. Until now, we're hearing that Gihok, as a company itself, then petitioned the CID. It's upon that an arrest has been made. They've retrieved 3 of the vehicles, and some of which we're going to show on the screen as we go on. Some of the vehicles that have been retrieved from him. I mean, this is a company that is not doing too well. The former CEO takes a vehicle. Upon leaving office, he has to take the CID to go and retrieve the vehicles. I mean, how does all of this strike you?
Under normal circumstances, things like this should happen. And when an entity is loss-making, the rules of engagement, of rewards, everything gets affected because you are looking at the bottom line, which is supposed to be profit. And so the entity in a normal thing would take into cognizance the fact that we've made losses. And if you're the chief executive, usually you want to show that you are demonstrating leadership and responsibility. And so certain entitlements, you may want to cut down on that. Substantively, in my mind, the thing is what kind of assessment was done for that vehicle to be priced and given away at that, cost. Usually, if I'm right, the public sector uses assessors from STC and other professionals. So the question is, was there proper assessment done before they determined that to be the price or the value of that vehicle after, and I don't know whether you're talking about 2024, which will make it just after 5 years. So it's not really that it's a 10-year-old car, which can be, and sometimes, they do this 10-year cycle where it's like you are writing down the value of the asset. So there are questions to be answered. A question is, what are the internal systems for assessing such vehicles? Because it's unlikely that a five-year-old vehicle will be that low in terms of value. Again, if you're the chief executive of an entity which is loss-making, what is your responsibility to ensuring that the bottom line of profit has been gained? And if there was no profit,
Right.
what is the implication for all the other pecs that you have? I think those are questions we should be asking the entity in terms of the systems in place.
The CRE is still investigating this matter and the details as we had it today. He's been granted bail. I mean, you're neck deep into anti-corruption. I mean, how does all of this look like from the optics perspective, essentially?
Honestly, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look, the optics are very bad.
Okay, abusunya we ne ensema ekọ so e political highway ne so. Suspended Chief Justice Torkonoo na say a plead for presidential pardon. Lawyer Martin Pebu e de ho nsem ebetu dia. Bedam ase se moje pene kokoti sa ensem we e de mai. Aha, POG Media so.